Hi, thanks for coming back. It's Matt here again with mywebbro.com, and today I want to take a look at a very interesting subject, and that is the internet in North Korea. I want to look at a few of the websites, and I want to show you just how limited their access is to information. So let's get right in there. Right here on Wikipedia, we can see it says, internet access is available, but only permitted with special authorization and primarily used for government purposes and by foreigners. So, most of the citizens of North Korea do not have access to the World Wide Web. What they call the internet is just a very limited version of the internet with a very small range of IP addresses. It says something like there are 30 websites in North Korea. There are approximately 30 websites, such as Yoreminzokuri, which we'll look at. Let's compare that here to the United States is hosting over 644,275,000 active websites. So about 500 million, just to give you comparison. So the first website I want to look at with you is what is like their Amazon.com. So if you're lucky, rich enough, fortunate enough, educated enough to have the internet access in North Korea, you have access to this website, for example, koreanbooks.com.kp. And this is obviously the Korean language version, but let's look at the English language version. And we can see a very simple website. It's ridiculously simple. It's like the way we used to design websites 10 or 12 years ago. So it's ridiculous. But here in the English version, we can see there's some pretty big hits here, some of the best sellers, such as Kim Il-sung's work for the strengthening of cooperation between the non-aligned countries in their news services. So these are the kinds of books that the North Koreans have access to, and that this is the kind of website that they can make a purchase on. It's interesting. So the other one I want to look at with you is the North Korean International Film Festival. So Pyongyang International Film Festival is found at korfil.com.kp. So this is going to be their website about their film festivals, their movies, their independent movies. Here's the English language version. It's been translated by Google, and we can see just a little blurb here. They're still running Flash. I'm not going to dare download Flash off this website. That would be crazy. But we can just see how old this technology is. It is ugly. It is bad. But this is what they consider to be normal. Let's look at another one here. This is like, you would consider this to kind of be like a culture or a leisure website. So if you're fortunate enough to have access to this website, it's all about Korean recipes, North Korean recipes and cooking. And like everything that you'll find in North Korea, it is just full of propaganda and that kind of brainwashy language. Let's look at the English language version. And that page that we were on right there is for something that they call Bob, I guess. Bob? So it just says here, Bob is the basic stock of our people. Our people like rice best among various kinds of food, and they eat rice as food. So even the websites that you'll find in North Korea that are available to North Koreans take this tone that is like explaining to North Koreans what they should be. It's very interesting. This idea that I'm reading this like I am that. Well, you know, rice is very old. Our ancestors have already made hoe farming, moisturizing, and farming in the Neolithic period through the excavated relic materials. In other words, be proud of who you are, and this is who you are, and we're telling you who you are, and so be that. I mean, there's some cool stuff actually on this website considering what we're looking at here, is we're looking at a communist culture leisure website, but for all that it's worth, I'm actually kind of impressed by it. Of all the other websites, it does give me sort of this feeling of like finally to relax and have some fun. I can't click on many of these links because their internet is so slow that these websites time out 9 out of 10 times. They just time out. So I just have to kind of stay here and show you what I'm looking at. But the Pyongyang Times. So now we're getting into like news, right? And so this is actually an English language newspaper that's hosted out of North Korea. So the Pyongyang Times here is the very first article you can see is going to be just some propaganda against our president. So no real need to go into all that. But of course, almost everything that you find in the news and the media in North Korea is going to be propaganda. we're used to having so many different sides that we almost don't even know what to believe. You've got the left coming over here and the right, and everybody's got their own opinions, and it's very different than that in North Korea. In North Korea, you're expected to believe a certain thing, you're told what to believe, and it's really the only option that you have unless you get really crazy with your imagination, but you better keep it a secret. Here's another news website, ridong.rep.kp, and I can't remember. Yeah, there was an English version, so here's the English version of this website. So here is just a little bit more, again, like sort of like leisure, kind of like a fun website for you to go to if you're trying to learn more about North Korea. Probably you're going to be a visitor to North Korea if you're on this website, and if you're at a university or something in North Korea learning to become a scientist to go join the cause, you have access to this information, but you can see it's very limited and there's almost nothing of substance in here. It's almost all propaganda. You know, U.S. warmonger stage actual firing drill against DPRK. Posters arouse people to get great advance of self-reliance. You know, this stuff is practically stupid acts of precipitating self-destruction. This is practically all propaganda. So, oh, and look at that, some sports down there in the bottom. Let's look at another one. This is the Korean Central News Agency website. Okay, so this is probably the main news in Central Korea, Central North Korea. And let's look at the English version of that. Okay, so just news about North Korea and their leader. Art performance given for nuclear scientists and technicians in presence of Kim Jong-un. So they're glamorizing their nuclear program, obviously. And this is the kind of stuff that they have access to. Very simple, though. I mean, we would never get away with a design like this anymore in America. This stuff is so old. So, very last thing I want to look at with you is Yurimin Zokuri. Yurimin Zokuri is the primary media outlet when it comes to the internet in North Korea. And they're in charge of like North Korea's YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter accounts. But obviously, those things are not for the North Korean people. Those citizens have no access to Facebook, Yahoo, Twitter, YouTube, Bing, MSN. No. This stuff coming from Yurimin Zokuri is for South Koreans to absorb and digest, Chinese, Indian, North American sympathizers. So this stuff's really not meant for the North Koreans. But let's take a look at it. Here it is. And let's have Google actually translate this page because it's so slow. I can't get around it. It's just too slow. Cool, so here you go. Now you're looking at Yurimin Zokuri. And this is actually looking more modern now. You got some advertisements going on. It's just looking a little bit more modern. But remember, this is not the norm in North Korea. Cool, so here's just, again, this is basically all their media is focused on is their military stuff, their propaganda, and their mind control. So, you guys, thank you so much for coming back today. It was an interesting topic, kind of a depressing one, and I apologize, but it's important, I think, that we all at least have some understanding of how oppressed people in a country with media censorship can feel without access to all of the luxuries that we have access to, all the things that we take for granted. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel, check me out on Facebook, check me out on Twitter, all the places that we do have access to, and have a great day. Bye, thanks for coming back.